Hi boys and girls, welcome back for another edition of Snack Time with a Dollop of Read Aloud. We're continuing today with Medusa Jones by Ross Collins, with permission granted by Scholastic Publishing for me to share this with you. So thanks. Now, the other day I asked you to think of ways to describe the character traits that Medusa is showing. So far we had lonely, we had frustrated, and someone shared with me one that I wasn't expecting, but I agree. So thank you for that, Adriana. Let's see, grab a marker. Oh well, sorry. Adriana said that she thought that Medusa was thinks that Medusa is fearless. And she felt that she was a fearless person because she went to school knowing that she would have to see the champions. And we know that the champions were really her bullies, right? Okay. So that's some good proof. We'll add some more to this in the next coming days. But today it's going to be a little bit different because I'm not going to ask you to answer a prompt, but I am going to ask you to watch a video that I have linked below, and it's really just like a tour through ancient Greece, or through Greece, but you'll see a lot of the ancient ruins. And the reason that this is important is because it's the setting for Medusa Jones. And you'll kind of get to see some of the buildings and the landscapes and kind of better understand what the climate and the terrain is like. So, and it'll help you to envision as well if you kind of have an idea of what the place looks like. Okay? So, we're going to continue with chapter 4. So today, again, you're not going to have a prompt, but I am going to ask you to watch a video. And that video will help you as we continue to read Medusa Jones in the coming days. Okay? All right, here we go. Chapter 4. Oh, here's a picture. Remember how Medusa's job was to clean up the drool that Cerberus left behind? That's a big job. At last the weekend had arrived. The best part of school. Medusa pulled herself out of bed at a decently unrespectable hour. So she thought it was a good time, but apparently it was rather late. And wandered into the bathroom. She looked at herself blearily in the mirror. The head snakes all stared back at her resentfully. Medusa walked slowly downstairs, listening to the familiar sound of little running paws skittering through the house. Cerberus bounded around the corner of the kitchen door and leaped up to kiss Medusa awake. It did the trick. She was now ready to make his breakfast. Cerberus sat beside her with rapt attention, as if he had never seen food preparation before. Medusa put 3 bowls on the counter and started to fill each equally with unidentifiable chicken parts and rice. In fact, you might hear my pets moving around. Bear and Bella are around here somewhere, so you might even see them pop up because Bear does like to sit in a lap or two. There was also carrots, pig ears, and anything else she could find left from the previous night's dinner that Cerberus might enjoy. Cerberus began to slide around on the floor. By now, 6 large streams of drool were pouring from the sides of his mouth, and it was hard to keep a grip on the slimy tiles. Medusa put the bowls down and hastily removed her hands as Cerberus's greedy heads plowed in, each racing to see which one would finish first and start on the other one's leftovers. Medusa got the drool mop out and cleaned up the mess and then fixed her own breakfast. When Medusa got herself washed up and dressed, she pulled down a scarf from the coat stand, put Cerberus's leashes on, and headed for the door. Her mom's disembodied voice called out when she heard the door opening. "Off to the stump, dear," she cried. "Yes, Mom," Medusa called back. "Well," called her mother, "have a nice time. Be home for dinner and don't..." "I know. Turn anyone to stone. Bye," called Medusa, and closed the door behind her. Medusa and her friends met at the stump most weekends. It was a huge old tree stump, which stood on a grassy mound with a splendid view of Athens below it. They had tried many times to count the rings to work out how old the tree had been, but they never managed. Let's just say it's old. Medusa and Cerberus puffed up the hill. Then Cerberus caught sight of Chiron at the stump and ran ahead to meet or to greet him. "Get this mutt off me," Chiron grimaced as Medusa approached. So there's Chiron. Does anyone know what kind of mythological figure he is? It's a zodiac sign, and if you're born in December, you might know. It's called a Sagittarius, okay? Cerberus was darting around Chiron's legs and had now jumped up and was swinging from his tail. Chiron was a centaur. He had the torso of a boy and the body of a horse. Well, really a foal because he's still a boy. Chiron swung around in circles trying to grab the puppy, but he couldn't reach his own tail. "Less of that, you," Medusa smiled and pulled Cerberus off. "I wish he wouldn't do that," Cerberus complained, flicking his tail to get the drool off. "Well," giggled Medusa, "if you have a dog toy hanging off your butt, what do you expect?" "Not too cold for you today?" Chiron grinned. "Wouldn't you benefit from a hat?" "Oh, don't you even start," Medusa huffed. "What was that all about anyways?" Chiron asked. "Oh, you know, the Chumpians," Medusa sighed. "Come on, Med," Chiron smiled as he leaned down and patted her shoulder. "You know they're just idiots. Just don't listen to them. They call me Specky Forelegs, but I don't care." Chiron adjusted his glasses. "That's actually quite clever of them," said Medusa. "They must have sat up late, really late, using their brain cell to come up with that one. How come they're so popular? That's what I want to know. What made them so special?" "They're the champions, and we're the weirdos. And that's all that matters really to anyone," said Chiron, smiling half-heartedly. They sat down and looked over Athens. Plumes of smoke curled over the city from the bakeries and blacksmiths, and they could hear tradesmen advertising their wares to the Saturday morning crowd. "Speaking of weirdos," Chiron grinned, they watched as a little pair of horns came into view, heading up the hill towards them. He's another mythological creature. Can you guess which one that one is? He's cute. The horns came from a bull, and the bull became a boy. It was Mino, the Minotaur. He had the body of a boy and the head of a bull. As Mino puffed up the hill, Cerberus ran down to accompany him. "You're getting earlier, Mino," cried Medusa. "I know," Mino wheezed as he approached. "It's starting to make more sense now." Now, if you know anything about the story of the Minotaur lives in a labyrinth, which is a really difficult maze. So Mino lives in a house that resembles more of a labyrinth or a maze. So he frequently gets lost in the maze. Kind of funny. Mino had been late ever ever since his dad started building their house. When Mino was born, his dad decided a nursery was necessary. And then he needed a playroom. And then they needed an extra den for all of his stuff. He hired some contractors who stayed for 2 years of building. Room after room, corridor after corridor, which is a hallway, until everyone forgot what the original floor plan of the house looked like. As a result, it took Mino and his family about an hour to find their way from the den to the kitchen. It took 2 painful hours to get to the bathroom from anywhere in the house, and a long, long time to find the front door. At one point, Mino hadn't had parents for 4 days. Mino's mom now spent most of her time cleaning, and his dad had retreated to one of the bathrooms where he soaked in very hot baths for a very long time, as he dreamed and thought about making more additions to the house. I took the 4th left this time instead of the 5th after the study. I think that's where I went wrong. Anyways, how are you guys? Fine, said Medusa and Chiron unconvincingly. It's the Chumpians again, Chiron confessed. They've been bugging Med. Ooh, those shiny cretins. What I'd give just to gore them. Just one of them. Maybe Theseus. You can't gore them, Mino, Medusa sighed. No more than I can turn someone to stone. So, the word gore means if you're like a bull, bulls have horns. So, what it means is you kind of like boop, poke someone with your horns. That's what gore means. Do you think you could really turn someone to stone? Chiron asked. I've never actually seen you do it. I don't know, Medusa frowned. What sort of lame gorgon am I? My mom does insist, though, that I turned my pet hamster Truffles to stone when I was younger. Cerberus looked up worriedly. A hamster? Asked Mino. What did Truffles do to deserve that? Oh, I don't know, Medusa said. I was young. Maybe he looked at me funny. Remind me not to look at you when my cheeks are full of food, said Chiron. The friends all laughed. They stood up and stared down at the hill. It was getting towards lunchtime, and the pastry shops would soon be opening. So here they are. There's Medusa, cute little Cerberus cutie pie. And there, my friends, is Mino. Isn't he cute? And Chiron, the centaur, or also known as Sagittarius. Okay? Now, if you look below in the space behind, that is Athens. That is where they're looking down onto from the hill. And so that is where I want you to explore today when you go and watch this video. Look at it. Guys, these buildings were made over, 1,500 years ago. So they're ancient, and it's amazing how they built them. And they're beautiful, even though they're kind of rumbly and ruined now, but they're still an amazing piece of architecture and history. So I really want you to just take a tour, enjoy it, and then if you want to, you can type some of your comments and your thoughts below. But I really want you to enjoy taking a virtual field trip to Athens, Greece. And if you want to, let me know what you think. But whether you do or not, next time when we read, remember what you saw on your tour today and use that to help you envision more fully what Medusa's going through. Okay? So as always, I miss you. I love you. And stay safe. Bye, guys.